Charlie Pierce is the name, and I'm 23 years old, and I would consider myself to be bigendered or gender fluid, which is probably like the most complicated thing or decision that I've ever made to come to that conclusion. And just because there aren't very many people that understand it or have heard about that, but the number of people is increasing, which is nice. Well, I started identifying as bigendered during my senior year. Like before that, I was just like, well, I'm gay, am I straight? I don't really know. But being bigendered makes a lot more sense for me just because like my sexuality in general is just really fluid, and it's really hard to identify myself in one particular box for very long at all because it's always kind of changing. But I actually had a really positive experience in high school. I went to Valdosta High School, which is in South Georgia, and it was pretty small, but I had a really good experience. Like everybody was super positive. Really the only, there weren't really a lot of queer people there at all, or not people that were out anyway. I mean, I'm sure there were people there, but nobody was really out except for me. And so everybody was like, oh, there goes that little gay chick, hey. So, I mean, it was pretty cool, actually. I only had one really bad experience, and definitely got beat up one time, but he quickly was removed from the school. So, like, the people at school were really supportive. So like the guidance counselors and the people that are supposed to handle that kind of stuff, they when I first tried to talk to them about any kind of issues like that, they just kind of told me that I was too young to know what I was talking about, and that I should just ignore it, and that it was phase or something like that. And that was totally ridiculous. But a lot of my teachers were really positive.
My freshman year, my whole freshman year, and probably about half of my sophomore year, I didn't go to school. I didn't feel right. I was uncomfortable. I didn't like crowds. I didn't like being around people. So I would just go from my house to my grandma's house every day. No one was home, so I was able to be there the times I was supposed to be at school. And I just didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to go. I didn't feel right. I just didn't feel right. And at the point where I started to change how I dressed, I started to go back to school and started going back to my counselor. Everyone pretty much said, oh, okay, you look cool, that's what's up. Like, it wasn't a big shocker because my personality is the same. And if you would have saw me, you would have thought it was awkward. You know what I'm saying? It didn't make sense who I was and to look the way I did. It just didn't make sense. So when I did finally, get to dress in the proper, in the right clothes, people was like, oh, my counselor, he didn't make a big deal out of it. He was actually really cool about it. And he just asked, how my mom felt about it. And, he said, well, if I ever wanted to have her to come and talk to him, he would do that. He would facilitate that type of, interaction between us if I had issues. He was really cool. I had the staff at my school was really cool. The school that I'm in now, I had to go in there as me. So from the application process, I had to tell them that I was a transgendered male. And the admissions counselor said, oh, I was already accepted. So, I have the personality to get into the school. I just had to let them know, look, I can't come in here and everybody's calling me she and her and calling me anything other than, Murphy, because I go by my last name. And he was like, okay. And he told the director. The director said it's cool. And the first day when I met the other people I'm in the class with, I had to tell them. I told they had like an introduction and said, look, we have we're embracing diversity, and we have a transgendered male amongst us, and he would like to, be called he, and his name is Austin and everything like that, and and then turns it over to me. I feel good. I feel pretty good. I feel much better now. Much better.
Well, when I first came out to my parents, I didn't come out to my brother at that point. They told him later on. But I came out to them. I was pretty afraid they'd reject me, but they were kind of confused by it. They were like, okay, you say you're trans, but we don't really know what that means. So, but they educated themselves. They got books on it. They read about it and stuff. They wanted to support me. So they didn't know how to handle it, but they wanted to support me. I didn't know it at the time, but my aunt is a lesbian, so I think because they had already known about her, so maybe that helped them come to terms with me. That and they're immigrants from Canada, and so things just aren't as crazy up there. I mean, I'm not going to say their society's perfect, because it's not. They got a lot of problems. But when it comes to, being polite and respectful about who people are, they're miles ahead of Roswell, Georgia. My brother, it was a little hard for him because he just had a lot of stuff going on. He's only a year younger than me. So, while I was a senior and I was on hormones, he was a junior. And, you just have anybody has a lot of stuff going on in high school. But he's okay now. Well, okay, yeah, the crossing my legs thing was absurd. Okay, well, I remember before I was really dressing feminine, I did wear I was wearing the tight girl jeans, and I had these socks with flower prints on them, so I thought they were cute. And this one kid, he's like, "Why are you wearing flower socks?" I'm like, "I don't know. I like them." He's like, "That's gay," and I'm just like, "Okay, I have a girlfriend." He's like, "Oh," but I guess I kind of came across as a different kind of person to them, and they kind of went at me for that because I'm kind of I intimidate people, so they don't typically mess with me as much as the other people. So I just came out to a couple of them in the library one day, because we just hung out in the library during lunch, and I was just like, "So yeah," and I didn't plan to come out or anything, and I wasn't thinking I was going to do that, but it just kind of happened, and they're totally cool with it. And of course, they always have a couple questions later, after a couple days, I think about it, and they're like, "Okay, so," but there's nothing bad. I'm still friends with one of them.